Radio. I don't know what episode it is, but we are back recording live. I will just say that as much as I enjoyed Zoom conversations, it's so nice to actually have a normal conversation face to face. I know you're a big fan of Zoom with obviously your talks, but and also I will just say all positivity now, because we've had a bit of, it's all been a crazy world at the moment. So I think from now on we're
mate, on the way here, driving here, I thought this is the first time I've had a purpose to drive somewhere and go and do something. Actually, there's been a purpose for me to get out of my house and go somewhere, rather than just I want to go for a run or I want to do whatever. I've actually needed to come and have to do this. That's the first time I've had a purpose to do something. The importance of having a purpose and enjoying what you do and the positivity is massive. So yeah, it's good to be back.
And Mark, thank you so much for coming on as well. Yeah, really appreciate it. Mate, I can't remember who pointed. We had a half an hour conversation over the phone, didn't we? And I can't remember the chap who mentioned you.
Do you know what? It was a mate of mine, Tom Barnes.
Just come a bit closer to.
Hear me, yeah?
Yeah.
So it was a mate of mine, Tom Barnes. He's a teacher in Allsop School.
So we the amount of Jesus, we went down a rabbit warren in our conversation. We were talking obviously about your MMA stuff, the business stuff you got going on at the moment, the positivity, and we were just talking then about some other stuff as well. So
it's perfect, sorry, as well. It's perfect of getting back into positivity and swing of things. You are the perfect guest to have on, to be fair.
Definitely, I'll take that as a big compliment, really.
So, mate, I actually just wanted to start off, how did you get into MMA? And you got into MMA. I watched 2 YouTube clips of you, which we'll pull up actually, because they were pretty cool. And they were filmed 10 years ago. And I think obviously the UFC's done massive stuff with MMA, and now it's completely mainstream. But and I only really got into hearing about MMA and UFC probably 3-4 years ago. So it's Conor McGregor really, I suppose, brought a lot of people into it. So how did you first get into it, and why did you get into MMA? Because I suppose it's pretty.
I think I don't think I just something that found me really, because growing up I was always getting into fights and bang into me Rocky films and whatever. I played a lot of football and I was quite sporty, but I just got into loads of fights. If my mum was here now, she'd tell you every other day, she was pulling me off someone or pulling someone off me, do you know what I mean? I don't know what it was, maybe it's where I grew up or what, but I was just always fighting and loved fighting. When I was maybe 15, 16, my mates were getting drunk on parks and I was going for runs and bang into boxing and stuff like that. So I think it's just something what's kind of being in me in a way to express myself, do you know what I mean?
And have that discipline as well.
Yeah, kind of, but I met a guy, he was a pioneer, you could say, of MMA in Liverpool. Paul Cahoon, his name is. And we just had a mutual friend, and I can't remember, I think I had a bit of trouble or a bit of a fight with someone, and maybe realised they weren't as hard as I thought it was, to be totally honest. So I'd always fancied myself and thought I can have a scrap, and never turned down a fight. So I think I had this fight with someone who we had a disagreement. We ended up rolling down on the floor. I was like, shit, I better
up my game,
basically need to stop doing all these weights and eating a load of crap and sort me shit out. So a mate of mine who was training with Paul at the time introduced me to him, and he took me up to a gym called Addington Submissions in Lee, and I just went up there. It was maybe 15 stone, a big guy, do you know what I mean? And she got completely thrown all over the place by these little 10 stone wrestlers. It was a proper ego check, so I think realising what they could do me the size of them, and obviously it was a big like I say, reality check. Maybe not being as big and as strong and as hard as I thought it was. It was I need to sort this out. So, and again, I've always fucking loved to fight. I probably got sent off more games than playing football. And I managed to stay on the pitch. If I see one of my mates get like a bad tackle or whatever, I'd be in goal. I'd be to the manager, you better bring me out now. So it kind of found me. It was I ended up in the right place at the right time and found something what I loved. And I trained with Paul for maybe a week, and he had a trip planned to Brazil. So I jumped on a plane with him a week later, 2 sessions in. Spent a week in Brazil, met a few lads over there, kept in touch with them, and 2 weeks later I was back there on my own for 2.5 months.
Really? Just training, yeah?
I just went over on my own, yeah. Literally jumped on a plane on my
own.
No way.
And whereabouts in Brazil was it?
It was in Rio.
In Rio, yeah. I've been to Rio for the carnival.
Yeah, well, I've been over there. I spent quite a lot of time over there, but the first time I went there, I didn't know no one. I didn't even know any Brazilian, and most of them didn't know any English. So it was like, when I look back now, it was like a bold move, but I didn't even give it any thought. It was just like, I fucking loved this fighting. Like, this is my thing. I found my thing, do you know what I mean? Maybe up until that point, I was a bit lost, and I went over to Brazil and found myself in like the gym. Like what I practice is luta livre, so you've got Brazilian jiu-jitsu and luta livre. So Brazilian jiu-jitsu, they say in Brazil, it's like, they used to say back in the day, it was for like the wealthy order, the people who were well off because they could afford a gi. Luta livre, they used to say, was for all like the thieves and the drug dealers and people from the favelas who basically didn't have no money for a gi. So there was like a big rivalry when you're looking like maybe 36, about 13 years ago, 14 years ago when I initially went over there. And at that point there was still like the animosity between the two. So I end up in this luta livre gym with all the so-called drug dealers and whatever, robbers from the favelas, and like I think I basically got fucking battered for like 6 or 8 weeks, but again loved it. And that's probably, if I look at it, anything I've ever done in my whole life, that's probably the most growth like I've ever had
as a person,
such a short, just in every way, because obviously I've just jumped straight in the deep end. I'm in a country where I don't really know no one. I've only got 1 or 2 friends because I've only spent a week there, like a couple of weeks before with Paul. I didn't have a clue what I was doing. I was just like, could naturally maybe have a bit of a fight and was physically quite strong, but was unfit. And I was in this MMA gym with a load of like fucking killers, do you know what I mean?
That is what you call jumping outside your comfort zone, that, innit?
Yeah. They literally battered me, and I mean like, they battered me, but like, again, a little bit of a Rocky type story. I definitely know that over the course of me being there for the 2.5 months, they started to respect me because I just kept coming back.
Well, that's it. If you're getting caned on the Monday, on the Tuesday, you've got to go back in and fight, haven't you, I guess? That's what you're there for.
The last week of me being there, they actually put me in a fight. And you hear all these like stories about like warehouse fights, and I know a few people who've been over there and come home and told Paul, he's over like, oh yeah, I got took to this warehouse and had a fight and whatever. I won't say no names, but they actually took me to like a proper MMA show. There was about 30 fights on the night in some like big warehouse thing, so like, I've got a video on a little camcorder in my house. I need to get it put on.
What's this like, just a kind of like an illegal kind of fight thing that they put on themselves, is it? Or like
there's no like governing bodies, or there's no like, you don't, when I started doing MMA, you didn't have amateurs, it was just like pro. But if you had no experience, it was basically a straightener in a cage with a load of people. It weren't like the way it is now, all like dead well organised, and you get like all your health checks and medicals, and it just weren't like that. It was just like so unorganised.
Fucking hell. Like, just organised chaos.
Basically was, if 2 people trained to have a fight, having like a straightener, but you weren't allowed to bite, obviously, or there was some rules, but like in terms of like governing bodies and the way it is now.
Did you have a referee?
Worlds apart, you'd have a referee, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was meant to fight someone else, and because I was in like, they didn't actually class it as amateur because there was headshots on the floor. It was full rules, but it was only 2 5-minute rounds. And I think there was maybe 5-6 professional fights on the night. They were all 3-minute rounds, but mine was only 2 5s. So I think like one thing I'd learned over the 8 weeks of being there was how to like resist the choke. I was like choke proof by the time I was been choked that many times. There was like a bit of a neck on me anyway. And so because my opponent pulled out, they put me in with a guy from Brazilian top team who was like a world champion black belt in BJJ. So you could say I was proper like a fish out of water, but the first round he was all over me. I couldn't move. Everywhere I turned, he just couldn't get him off. And at one point he had me in a full rear naked choke, and you can see in the background all like his team is celebrating, and I'm in this rear naked, but I weren't tapping, and I stood up with him on my back with a full rear naked, and you just see their arms cooking down like that. And they must just be like,
how's he standing up?
Going on? How is he not? And then I just jumped and slammed him. He just stayed everywhere, like the whole like arena all like go berserk, as you probably don't. That's like the most untechnical way to escape. It ain't like a choke, but it worked. And I pretty much won the second round, and he won the first. He got the decision, and I lost the fight. But
and was all the crowd against you because he was probably Brazilian?
And then
like
versus BJJ, so I'm in the middle of a fight and she cheers and everything gets thrown to the side of the ring. So it was like, and they're all arguing with them, and I'm in the middle, and the fight. There's like at one point the fight's getting stopped. You stand there for like 2 minutes while everyone's calm and
really, yeah.
What's going on outside the ring? It was in a ring. Do you know what I mean?
Jesus.
So like I look back now and like things like that. Like obviously I was never meant to be like pound for pound the best fighter on the planet, otherwise that's what it'd be. Do you know what I mean? But like I just took so many like amazing experiences, like even to be to be able to speak to you about it, and you know when my lad's a bit older one day showing this video on a camcorder, it's like it's priceless. Do you know what I mean?
Mate, I think so much about stuff like that, mate. What you said of like what's kind of meant to be for you. So like for me in the Marines, for example, I was never the best Marine, and I was never kind of ever gonna be like, you know, super special forces, the best ever. But that experience, it taught me. I felt like you're saying, like you were meant to kind of, yeah, and just that feeling of being around certain people and having your eyes open to the way of the world and different people and experiences. I sit here now, you know, during when I was 17, I was out of it by the age of 24, but those years were like...
You laid the foundation, haven't you, for the rest of your life. That's what I found fighting done for me. Obviously, you have natural attributes and qualities, you know, the same as you have things which maybe aren't so good at the same time, but I definitely think that fighting enhanced a lot of like my natural, like, I'd say resilience and stuff like that, do you know what I mean? And taught me a lot about respect, and like, I've got friends over there who I still speak to now weekly. Like, I haven't seen them for years, through having kids and work, and I haven't been able to go over there for years, but we're still in touch, and like things like that, it's like that to me, that's of more value than like anything. Do you know what I mean? Like them experiences.
It's that shared hardship, isn't it? Shared hardship, and you're both outside your comfort zone, and you're both just doing something that's probably not normal, probably what 99% of people don't do. Yeah. But you're in this little group together.
Yeah. I also know that, like, from me going there and you know, experiencing and doing things like that, like you said before, it is literally, I'm not scared to step out. I'll seek discomfort, and that's in me. That obviously it is, because I only trained for a week before I'd flew over to Brazil, and literally just jumped in a room full of gangbangers, Brazilian gangbangers who want to rip my head off, you know what I mean? And after being there for 10 weeks, coming home, fighting maybe 8 weeks, 6 weeks later, and getting my first like professional win, it was like, any chance I could get over there, I'd be over there. Any money I had, I'd be over there, just developing myself, and basically, like you say, just trying to go somewhere where I get fucking learn as much as I could. And
it's that saying, mate, which I say at the end of my motivational talks. I always say, you know, if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change rooms. It's all about surrounds, and it's an ego check.
Your environment, aren't you?
Yeah, it's an ego check for some people, because some people like to be the best. It's fuck that, man. Go and surround yourself by people who are going to teach you and you can learn from.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Yeah.
You mentioned about that respect thing. What's if I said to my missus that, because my missus isn't a big fan of like boxing, fighting, anything. I said that, look, you know, it provides people with like that respect. She wouldn't believe me, but you only have to look at like yourself, Jazza, who we've had on, Tony Dodson as well.
Jazza's
like
me mate, Tony's me mate.
Yeah. And how nice of a people, you know, each individual person is, and how respectful they are and things like that. So, mate, it's
massive, I think, mate, with the military, mate, and it's. I noticed through the boxing gym I'm in kind of now, the type of people who take, you know, your kind of physical excellence, if you like, important, have same values in their life. Like, it's a stupid example of what I'm saying, but basically the doc we've had on my surgeon amputating my leg, he's very old school, and he's all about, you know, you've got to look after yourself, you know. So, for example, when he's working in the NHS and there's people turning up and they're all overweight, they don't look after themselves, they're smoking, they're eating takeaways every night, he's a bit like, fucking hell, you're doing this to yourself. So he puts a lot of respect on, you've got to look after yourself. So whether it's in the military and you're training in the Marines, or whether you're fighting, that same mindset, if you've got to look after yourself, I find it then relates then to standards in real life, and your own attitude. It's like, how can you be a good leader of a business, or, you know, have high values and standards, if you're fucking having takeaways every night and you can't even get up at 7 a.m. and go to the gym? Or how can you be then, you know, how can people look at you and respect you to do other things if you can't even do it for yourself?
I've got to lead by example, do you know? Like I'll say I do try and help as many people as I can in general, but it's all because of my own experience, and like, now I'll share information which has worked for me with other people, because if it's made me feel better or it's benefited me in any way, and I can see someone else struggling with maybe things that I've struggled with in the past, then there's no greater real gift you can give to someone than information which is going to make them feel better, physically healthier, you know, just in general, just be happier and better. And it's like, you know, that's like the stuff what I'm doing at the moment in the schools, and I'm actually opening a self-development centre called Awake, and that is the whole concept behind, you know, it's health, it's well-being, it's stuff that I've used in my own life and still use to this day and practice as a daily practice.
It's one of the commando values, unselfishness. I say it all the time. I say, you know, life is hard enough anyway. There's no reason to be, you know, selfish. If you've got information and you can help people and advise people, then fucking do it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Life's hard enough anyway. You don't need to be a dick about things.
So go on. We'll come back to Awake actually, but so when you had your first professional fight, was the aim? I know that some people say like the aim to become world champion. Was that in your head at all, or was it just a case of let's just plod on and see how we?
I just found something what I love doing. I don't think at that time, because I was just starting out, it was never like, if I'm totally honest, my goal, I can't remember ever saying I am going to be pound for pound the best welterweight on this planet. Do you know what I mean? It was always like, I remember back to thinking, I just, you know, I'd look at other fighters with respect that I'd been to the States and I'd train with like high level guys who were doing well in the UFC, and I was like, I just want to be up there with them. Do you know what I mean? But at the time when I was actually fighting, it weren't like a lot of the stuff like I'm into now, over like goal setting and you know, like basically the way I'm over mindful stuff and things like that. I didn't have that knowledge at the time. I was just love fighting, so I committed to it, and I give it 110%. I could sit people in the room now and say, have you ever seen anyone be so professional in like their approach to a sport or whatever? You know, there might be people who match me, but I don't believe there was no one who put as much in as me in that time. Like, I literally give it everything. I slept on mats. When I weren't training, I was watching fighting. When I weren't fighting, I was eating or sleeping. It was my life. Any opportunity I got to go away and develop myself and get better, I'd done it, but I'd done it because I loved the sport. Like, it was never like, training was hard, and you hear other athletes and fighters say, I hated every minute of it. I loved it. I love cutting weight, which is like fighters just say they hated them. I absolutely love fucking spending time in the sauna, spending time in hot baths, and it's a love-hate thing. But when I look back now, I really did the torturous times at the times what I enjoyed the most.
I watched an interview. Is it Brendan Sharp? I watched an interview with him, and he said he's a comedian now. Actually, he's got a really good podcast.
Yeah, he can talk, can't he, Brendan?
Yeah, fucking do, right? And he said that he just everything, like driving to the stadium, just wanted to be anyone else except him at that point.
Yeah.
Like literally just complete like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm just about to go in the ring and get like, obviously he didn't think that he was going to get battered, but he's going to get hurt one way or another.
I can relate to that because I enjoyed the process but didn't enjoy. So like, I'll use my friend Darren Till as an example. Darren would rather spend 15 minutes in a fight beating you up and playing human chess, wipe you out in the first 20 seconds, have a perfect fucking performance and get out of there. Where I was the opposite, because it meant so much to me, and I put so much into my preparation, and I had to have a perfect fight. It wasn't even about winning for me. It was like, I used to see it like in my own head, like I knew how good I was, so no one should even lay a finger on me. And that's the kind of pressure I put myself under, so I didn't enjoy being in the fight. So for Darren, like a good way for me to explain it is, the minute he goes into a fight, that's his place, that's where he's supposed to be. For me, I didn't feel that way, because I put myself under so much pressure, and because of where I was mentally at the time, I didn't understand it, and I didn't know how to deal with it. So like, if you phone me anytime, if you said to me now, there's some fella 20 stone black belt and he's on the park around the corner, he wants you to fight, I'd be like, Sam, let's go, I'm just going to be shooting home for me gummy and I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do you know what I mean? But if all the training and the build up to the fight, by the time I got to the fight, it was like, I just expected so much from myself, and at the time cared so much about what other people expected from me as well. You know, I was coaching lads in the gym, and I was quite well known like amongst like lads in Liverpool, and I was just like one of the lads. but like everyone knew me for fighting. I used to sell loads of tons of tickets and, you know, and put myself under pressure, but when I'd actually come into the fight, I didn't enjoy being there.
Didn't know.
No.
Mate, imagine now, like, Darren Till's a good, like, I think he's going to fight in that island, isn't he?
Fight Island.
Fight Island, yeah. Like, all that, like, and I see him on Instagram all the time, like, he's doing...
He's funny, isn't he?
He's, just that, like, you know, like, that build-up and everything, like, obviously he enjoys it, do you know what I mean? But, like, I'm a bit like you, not that I would ever be, you know, do that, but, like, that, like... all the PR, like the press conferences, the talking shit about other people, that like, and then when you're into that ring, you've got to do that business.
You know, the little example I had, and it's nowhere near the amount of pressure, for example, you've been put under, or for Darren. But when I attempted to break my world record, it's such a hard balancing act, because you want to make a sing and dance about it so everyone comes and supports it and everyone knows about it. But then the more people that know about it and are there, then the more pressure. So anyway, I'm like banging on social media. I'm about to break this world record, and like Callum Smith comes down to watch it. Carragher was there, like all sport and like friends and legends, if you like, were there. About 300 or 400 people had come to Wavertree running track. And thankfully, like my good honest mates, a couple of them out the Marines, will like text me and like, because they can speak to you properly. My mate went, mate, I hope you fucking smash this now, the amount you've been going off about it. And it's that kind of thing. You've got to talk about it.
You've got to be all in if you're going to smash that.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got to be all in, and I believe if you're going to be all in, then that's just add the fuel to the fire for me.
And that's for me, it did, yeah. But it is
that, but then not respond the right way. Coming up to like, I'd just be so like, the two fights I've had no nerves for, I've lost them both.
Really, yeah.
Yeah. The two fights I've had no, so it's hard. It's finding that balance between.
It's a tough balance act.
So like I remember I went to Brazil for 5 weeks. That's the last, like, because I retired from fighting for a couple of years, and then a guy came over from Bellator who's like a friend of Paul Kelly out the gym, and he came over and trained with us. He was like, look, we'll give you some money if you'll come out of retirement and whatever. So I used the money to go to Brazil to have a couple of fights, because basically to try and shake the cobwebs off. And the time I was over there, I ended up having 3 fights in 5 weeks, but the second fight was the first time I've been at welterweight in like years and years, and in between that fucking being big, you know what I mean? And I just remember being absolutely like fucked and just in a negative place while I was there. Like physically I was tired and felt drained, and mentally I let it get the better of me, do you know what I mean? I'll hold my hands up and say I went into that fight just like walking out, felt like I was just walking the shop for a loaf of bread. Just nothing. I felt a bit tired in the warm-up, and I didn't have that adrenaline. And
must be a scary feeling after knowing that you've not got that, and you're going into a fight.
No, when it's happening though, you don't really give it much thought. It's like when it was happening, I was just like in that much of a, I've never really revisited where it was in my mind. Not much anyway. And when I think where it was now, I remember, like, I laugh, and this is absolutely no word of a lie, I remember just wanting to be home with me bird and with me lad that much, and obviously I'd starved myself and fucking like just felt I was dying for the Chinese. And I remember it, the first, so because I was so tired, I was in my head, I was just like, I'm gonna try and knock him out the first 30 seconds of every round, and then I kind of accepted that if I don't, then I'm probably gonna lose the round. So I remember it might have been the second or the third round, the guy's on top of me, it's called half guard in a position, and I had all of them, so I had my hands connected around his back, so he couldn't really create space to get any leverage on his punches. So his punches, he was literally just on top of me doing like hammer fists like this on the side of my face, and I remember saying, I fucking can't wait to go for a Maplewood. Just get me out of here and get me home. And then as soon as the fight had finished and I'd gone back to changes, I was fucking sobbing. I was just like, I can't believe I've just lost, you know what I mean? In there, I just didn't want to be there, but then when I'd lost it, like, it was like, I can't believe I've lost. So I ended up staying another week then, and there was another promoter at the show, and he'd offered me a fight at the weight above the following week. So I ended up fighting a week later, getting a win, and then coming home, do you know what I mean?
Okay. What is the experience, mate, of, like, say you spoke to Jazzer and Tony and stuff, but what's the feeling of like that, or is there a feeling of that loneliness, for example, and back in the changes, and you think, for example, maybe you've had people supporting you and egging you on, and then when it's in the cold light of day, when you're there, what's that feel like as a fighter, maybe that you've experienced or you've known as a coach, and you've seen kind of fighters, and you know, when they're in just that level of despair, and you're like, can you relate to that, and what's that kind of like?
Yeah, well, obviously it's not nice losing a fight, you know what I mean? But I think it's more so that it doesn't really matter who you're with when you've lost a fight. Really, you're on your own. I mean, for as much as the people around you care, and you know, my coach Colin Henry cares more than anyone I'd ever believe. He really does. Like, he takes it to heart, but no one feels it like you feel it, because at the end of the day, it's you put 8 to 10 weeks of preparation in, and like, definitely in my case, give 110%. Give more than I should have, because when I look back now, I realise how much I overtrained, and I made a lot of mistakes, like a hell of a lot of mistakes, and I'd definitely say if I was of the mindset and the way of thinking, and I had the knowledge what I've got now in terms of just how your thoughts work and how powerful they are, and you know, and from the experience what I've gained, I'd definitely know. But if it was you see fighters who basically retire and come and step out of fighting, and then a couple of years later they come back and they might be physically older and not in as great a shape as they were, but they're just a different fighter, and it can only be mental, it's not physical. You know what I mean? They come back into fight and you'll be like, wow, I've seen him get knocked out 4 times, but then he's more durable and he's not getting knocked out, and he's getting it with big shots, and like, there's fighters like Alistair Overeem and stuff like that. You've seen fights where they've been knocked out with a shot, and then other fights where they've been fucking like hit really hard by, you know, similar shots to which have knocked them out in the past, and they've been alright. So for me, it's like, what's different?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, where for you, mate, comes the kind of positivity? Because Aaron, so you speak now, and it's fascinating. You're speaking about it in a positive light. Is there nothing in you, or was there ever anything in you that looked at it negatively, in the sense of, fuck, I wish I fucking knew this then, and I fucking wish...
Not in any way, no.
No?
I'm just so happy where I am right now. I'm grateful for every single thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's good. Is there a moment where it shifted, or has it always been like that?
I'd say it has come over time, but again, a lot of it's come with knowledge and information, so it's like, I understand being positive, you're never going to achieve anything being negative. People don't want to work with you or be around you to be negative. Like, I get a lot of opportunities and people want to come and work with me because my energy is good and because I am positive and I try and help people. So it's like, you know, I can't say that's a big part of why I am where I am today, because I will help anyone with no expectation back.
Yeah, that's the big thing, the
Massively,
expectation, isn't it? Yeah.
Like, I help you, it doesn't mean, and you don't do nothing for me back. I think, oh, that Tom's a cunt, in a minute.
Yeah.
Because you might come and help me tomorrow.
Yeah.
People like relate, if I help you, you've got to help me back. It doesn't work like that. If I help you, I just put it out there, and someone else might come and help me back, and that's my belief, and that's work for me. So I'm happy to talk about that, and if it helps anyone, then, you know, the amount of, like, even family members and stuff like that who've said, I've done this for them and that for them and that for them, and
I've got nothing.
They won't give you fuck all back.
Go, fuck you, and I'm like, they might have gone fuck you, but look, that's happened and that's happened and that's happened by someone else, and you never done nothing for them. So
totally.
that's how you want to interpret things,
Yeah,
and look
mate.
at things. But I just find in general, if you, there doesn't matter what happens, there's always, you can always take a positive from it. Always, if you're of that mindset and mentality.
I do this little story. I mean, it's like a daft story, but it sums up exactly what you're saying, and it's about your own standards and where you put yourself. And I say, you know, imagine walking down the road and you see a crisp packet on the floor, and, you know, it's not your crisp packet, you didn't put it there, but you know deep down the right thing to do is pick it up. Now, when you start doing it, you start raising your own standards, and then as a domino effect, you know, those will see you, people will see you doing it and thought, fucking hell, I want to do that next time. And before you know it, just those people around you have just raised their game just that little bit more.
That's massively important. If you've got children, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want to teach them, you know, the right principles, and they've got to see you do it. So if, like, I will make a point of doing that if I'm with me lad on a walk around the estate. My daughter. Or,
totally, yeah.
Well, it's like, and talking about, like, environments, things like that, I can't remember the name of it, but there's a name for it in the fact, when you talk about dropping litter, actually, is the way that if you have an area which is nice, as in, like, it's clean, people would, even though they would naturally drop litter, they don't because of the area. Whereas if they see litter around,
it's almost like it's okay to, almost.
Yeah. I can't. There is a name for it. There's like something syndrome, but it's things like that. Do you know what I mean? And so you are what you are.
And it's that thing, you know. Again, you're not picking up litter for any other reason, just because you know it's the right thing to do. You're just doing it because it's good to do. You need to do it. You're not doing it to think, oh, well, they've got to pick up litter next. You're doing it because you're doing it. You're not doing it for a pat on the back. You're not doing it for
you know, at the same time, you do give yourself a pat on the back. I don't care what anyone says when you do that good deed, or you give anything out. it's only natural if you help someone, and this is like for me. I think that's a lot of people don't really get this. It's like, you know, you go out and feed. They say giving is one of the most selfish acts you can possibly do, because
you feel great.
Give, you feel good, and it doesn't mean you're going out to give to feel good. It's just the way it is. It just happens. And again, these science switch backs, like, you know, equal and opposite. For every action, there's an equal and opposite
reaction.
Yeah. It doesn't mean it's negative. So if you do something good, then then you feel good, and it's like, it's the way it's just the way it is. Do you know what I mean?
I feel a lot, mate, with these talks. I sometimes feel like dead cheeky sometimes, mate, because I do these talks and I get paid to do it, and then I'm standing on stage and I might like get a standing ovation, and then afterwards, like, people are saying thank you to me, and like, sometimes people get really deep and send big messages. I've got a
very good friend, Martin Bone. I don't know if you know Martin. He'd be great for you to get him on here, because
really,
he's the Scouse Guru. His name is.
I follow him on Instagram, actually. Yeah.
So we have these conversations quite regularly, and I really value them, because obviously I figure out a lot of stuff that goes on in my own mind, and I'm constantly questioning myself and figuring out my views and opinions on everything. That's the way. That's the way I am. But we were actually speaking about this yesterday. For me, you should never feel any form of guilt over if you're providing a service which enhances people's lives, makes them better, makes them healthy. Then it's only an exchange. Money is only energy. I know it's paper, but it's only energy. It's the same as feeling good. It's energy. So if you do, really, that the truest purpose for any of us is to earn a living doing something which enhances other people's lives. So if you can earn money and help other people at the same time, that's the purest form of fucking. That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So we're not supposed to earn money making people feel shit.
Yeah.
It's just completely wrong, isn't it?
Yeah.
If you can
so right,
money
that,
making people happy and adding value.
And for anyone who's listening to that, mate, I can tell you now, mate, the feeling of just gratitude you get. That's why you fucking get amazing.
That's what we're supposed to be doing at the end of the day.
It's so good. Like,
when we get a message out about the podcast, like,
it's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And to know you've had a proper, profound impact on someone's. One of the best stories, I don't know if I told you, Tom, or said it on the podcast before, one of the craziest stories I had was when I first started doing the speaking, and there was a guy who worked for a bank. I think it was Royal Bank of Scotland. He didn't get in touch with me at the time. He got in touch with me weeks later. And after hearing my story, he'd heard about how I had chosen to have the leg amputated for a better quality of life. This guy had a disease or something in his eye, and to look at him you would never have known, but he couldn't see out of it, and it was causing him a lot of pain and discomfort. But he just didn't do anything because he didn't want to have one eye, a false eye. Anyway, he messaged me about 6 months later, says, Andy, after hearing you talk, just to let you know, here's my story. I've booked in to see a doctor next week. So I just messaged him back saying, oh mate, I hope everything goes well and I'm sorry to hear it and all that. And I didn't hear nothing. And about a year later he emailed me again and says, just to let you know, Andy, I've had my eye taken out. I've now got a false eye. I'm not in no pain. The grandkids are, laughing and joking about it. I'm happier than I've ever been. And I would never have got it done if I hadn't heard about your story, about how you amputated your leg for a better quality life. I've now took my eye out for a better quality life, and I just want to thank you. And I'd only been doing the speaking for about a year or so, and I thought, I've got the fucking best job in the world, man. This is like... And I forgot about the money that I'd made from that gig. Just for that message alone, I thought, this poor fella would have been living maybe the next 10, 15, 20 years of his life in pain, because he'd be worrying about what people thought of him. And now he's living pain-free. And I thought, that's just the best feeling I've ever got of that energy I've given to something. It was like... And so it's nice to hear that I've never heard it explained like you did then about an exchange of,
it's just an exchange,
and to then if you can earn a living by helping other people, then that's
what we're here for.
That's the best thing you can do.
That's everyone's purpose, and for me it's finding your niche and how you can help other people and and make money at the same time, because if you're helping other people and you're not getting any money, how are you supposed to live? It's not sustainable. Like the stuff I'm doing with Awake, do you want to go on to Awake?
Mate, we can talk about it, yeah, of course.
So Awake is basically a self-development centre. It's called Awake Liverpool. I've got one ready to open now. The doors are ready to open just as soon as Boris gives us the nod. We'll be up and running. But it's a self-development centre. It's based around meditation, mindfulness, physical fitness, and I'm keeping Thursday evenings free to bring just people into the workshops with adults over just various things which are to help them better their lives. So like 1 week it might be nutrition. I'll bring someone in, they won't have to pay. You know, just come in, get here, and we'll educate a little bit on what you should and what you shouldn't eat. Maybe what different, you know, products around your house have got a lot of chemicals in them. Not like bombard people, but just give them bits of information if that's what they're looking for.
Yeah.
Do talks on people over how to start up a business. So there's thousands of people out there who won't start a business because in their head they make it this big gigantic thing, making a business, and it's what if it fails and it doesn't work, and they look at all the negative and, you know, maybe get a bit of anxiety, and they might go to do it and they go, fuck it, I'll just stay in this 9 to 5, I'm happy and whatever, do you know what I mean? Because it's comfortable and it's safe, and
you get your paycheck each month.
Deep down, you want to go and start a business, they just don't know where to start. So it's like Thursdays, I'll do stuff like that for people. It'll just be in any way you can better yourself. It's self-development, covers so many different aspects of like your life, from obviously your physical, your mental, and then your business and stuff as well. So it's like Thursday evenings is literally, we'll just do different workshops. It might be on psychology 1 week. Like, I'm big on do's and don'ts, what to and what not to speak about in front of your children, because to me that's a big problem at the minute. You got kids 8-9 years of age staying off school because they've got anxiety. They shouldn't even know what anxiety is.
I mean, I say that all the time, man.
Staying off work because the mums and dads are staying off work and on the phone like, I'm not going to be, I've got anxiety, I'm being a doctor's, blah, blah, blah.
It's mad.
And the kids are sitting there listening to them.
I've had teachers say to me,
the kids don't want to go to school. Like,
mate, I've had teachers say to me,
and it's like, but they actually create it. That's the sad thing about it is, they're listening to the parents who are blagging it, and the kids are actually creating it. Because if literally you can create it in your own.
If wheels, if someone's nervous, or
of course, Like if I just sat there and answered to me for 2 hours, got a banging headache, you can actually start to feel the emotions of having this banging headache. I guarantee you get a headache.
Mate, I was on a Air France flight from with work from Paris to Abidjan in Ivory Coast, and there was like an engine fire when we took off, and the pilot only had to say, he didn't say brace or anything like that. He just said we returned to the airport, but like in a really, and literally there was a woman next to me, a guy next to me on my right. He was suddenly started going, Jesus Christ, like, and then suddenly I felt it, and then like the whole plane was fucking like hysteria.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's like a virus, isn't it?
Yeah. Even though there was like, obviously there was a fire, but.
Yeah, mate, I've been into schools and teachers have said, can you speak one-on-one to this person who suffers with anxiety? And I'm going, how do they even know what anxiety is?
Because it went around when we were kids. It's just because it's so common now. And
it's like a buzzword, isn't it?
It's a perfect excuse to have a day off work for me if you've got no symptoms.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And you can say you haven't got it. You know, one of the biggest causes for people actually fucking not attending work these days, it's all mental now. It's not coughs and cold. It's like, I'm depressed. Yeah. That's not against people who genuinely do suffer from these things, but it's so common now.
Yeah.
You don't know who really has.
And if someone said you've got anxiety, and you said have you been diagnosed with anxiety, 99% of people won't have been the doctors and been told they've got anxiety. It's just them self-diagnosing themselves with anxiety.
On Google.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got this funny feeling in my tummy and I'm worrying over this and that. Bang, anxiety. I've got anxiety. But the moral of the story is it doesn't matter whether you have or you haven't. You shouldn't be speaking about it in front of your kids. Because kids, especially up until 7-8 years of age, they're just soaking every word what you say. Do you know what I mean? They're soaking it all up, and that's creating their reality then. So if you've got a child up until 7 years of age and all his years are in the house is anxiety, depression and whatever, then that's in his belief system then for the rest of his life. It's called your worldview. So his worldview is it's normal to be anxious, it's normal to be depressed. It's like, and the only way he fixes that is by going to the psychiatrist or, there's different ways, but basically that becomes part of his personality, who he is, and it's like, it's so damaging. People just don't like. But it's at the same time, I'm not like trying to have a go at anyone or in any way. They just don't know. They haven't got the information. So like, going back to the week, it's basically I'm creating this centre which is based around meditation, which is massive for your health and well-being, physical and mental. Yoga again, which is the same. Fitness. We all know what fitness does for your mindset and obviously your body. And then the talks and stuff like that. I've created a class with a friend of mine, Luke Powell, again, another guy who'd be good for you to speak to. But Luke's a personal trainer, but he takes a different approach to it. Luke really puts a big emphasis on the mental side of it as well. So he packages up well-being, physical and mentally. He's an unbelievable personal trainer. He's in incredible shape. He lives it, breathes it. Like one of the most disciplined people I know, and it really inspires me to be to be better myself in that sense. Because he's just like, there's not a single thing that he puts out there or he advises anyone to do that he doesn't do himself. So, and I've got my partner on the way, Diane. She's done a lot of stuff at Liverpool over the lockdown. She's like their official yoga instructor, so she's my partner on the way. Again, unbelievable woman, lives and breathes, loves yoga, like just a fucking really, really nice girl, do you know what I mean? And so the three of us have been getting together and I've created a class called High Frequency Fitness. So basically it's 20 minutes of a hit circuit. So for an example, Luke will come in, unbelievable. I've got tons of all about top PTs in Liverpool are all on board, and so you'll have a top PT, he'll take the first 20 minutes of a hit, and then he'll just go straight into yoga, and Diane, say for an example, will come in, and the session will flow straight from fitness into yoga, and then the last 20 minutes is a meditation. So it's all about raising your vibration. You hear good vibes and bad vibes. It's about raising your vibration through 3 aspects, which I think are like incredible for making you feel better. So you've got like the fitness, then you've got the yoga, and then you just chill out with the meditation at the end. And you know, we're doing 6 a.m. classes every morning. The idea for me is people just glide out of there and have a boss start to the day. You win your morning, you win your day. So it's like every morning you get one of them in.
What's a boss saying now? Win your morning, you win your day.
Yeah, but like all of that is basically to make adults feel good. But on the flip side, they're going to fund a full free kids timetable. So I can get 180 kids in a week over 6 sessions, and they're free. So kids don't pay for a class. I can get 30 kids in a class, and they don't pay. No child will ever pay for a session in my.
That's
quality, isn't it? Yeah.
In a week, do you know what I mean? And the idea by next year is to have 3 in different parts of Liverpool, which people can get to. Doesn't matter where.
Where's this first one opening then?
The first one's on Prescott Road in Old Swan.
Okay.
So I'll be looking up by Bootle and Waterloo ways for another one, and maybe like Egberth, Garston for the other. But I'm part of a property development company called Crossfield, exclusive in Liverpool, and we're doing a lot of big like developments and stuff. So I sat down with the lads the other week. So I've been doing this kind of myself and like basically funding all of it myself. So I sat down with like my partners. One of them's like my best mate, and he's on the same thing as me. The other 2 are really good mates, but they're all successful in their own right. And actually spent like an hour telling them what I'm doing and what I'm about and what I feel now is my purpose once obviously, you know, outside of work and everything else. And like the lads are just dead nice lads, and you know they're obviously, like I said, they're successful and whatever. They just loved it, and they basically said now, like where my vision this year was to, obviously it's been delayed a little bit by what's going on, was to have these all over the city. The lads are just like, we have a funding pot which we use for different stuff in the community and that anyway. They're like, Mark, we're right behind you, we'll go and get another unit tomorrow and fucking kit it all out, get instructors in there. This is like, they know what I'm doing and what my vision is for kids in the city, and they're like right behind me. So it's like, from me doing it on my own kind of, like I've got like our company is behind me now, and they're like, let's just roll these out all over the city. I do digital detox days out, so every 6 weeks I get a coach. We've done the first one just before lockdown, so it's like the digital detox days out is I provide a transportation. I've got a friend Mick Kieran who's a professional mountaineer guide, and obviously I've got all my mates who are all PTs, and they all help guide and keep everyone safe. So we'll get everyone to, we'll announce on, I don't know if you've seen on our Awake Instagram and on my own, but I'll just say on like say the 25th of March, be at Awake headquarters for 9 a.m. Here's a kit list, what you need. It'll be dependent on the weather. Bring a packed lunch. You'll be home at 6. See you there.
That's it.
But it's digital detox, so the posters basically say the rules are no iPads, no phones, basically no devices. Once you're there, you're like dead to the outside world, whatever's going on. And in the talk what I give before we actually get on the coach, it's like the goal behind today, the whole goal is to be present, meet new friends and be with your kids. Get your kids off these phones and like So we have a full day out. So like where I was maybe going to do one every 2 to 3 months now, it's like I'm in a position with the support of obviously me mates and who I work with. Like they're like, let's fucking do them every 4 weeks. You know what I mean? So we are in like a really strong position, and like I'm very confident when I say like it is going to change the city. Do you know what we're doing? And I'm seeing loads of other people now like in this like the same.
You know what I love about this, mate, and airing your passion for it. And I feel like if the negative, without trying to look at the negative, it's something I feel my own personal journey. I kind of being through what I went through, being like a 23, 24-year-old lad, going through everything that I went through, kind of developed all this kind of knowledge, if you like, before, if you like, everyone else kind of knew about it. Not everyone else, but my circle, for example, knew about it, if you like. And then, like you say, now I'm hearing you do something like this, and I'm thinking, these are all little things that maybe nowhere near about a plan like you, but I've kind of known about little things, but never ever joined them all together. And then to sit here now and go, I'm already kind of knew that life lesson and I've come across that, but then you sit here now and go, fucking hell, all the things I've picked up over the last 10 years and you put it all together in a thing.
It took a lot of planning and thought, but it's realising that like at the end of the day, I set goals 7 years ago, and at some point next year I'm going to achieve them goals, but what I'm going to do then? So over the last couple of years I've started to realise that everything what I've set out to do, I'm going to achieve it. I am. So it's like, you know, you get the likes of fighters who fight all their life and then they finish fighting and they're lost and they end up fucking suicidal, some of them, or they go in the jail, or they don't know what to do. And I know when I see people who are successful and they've achieved everything what they've set out to achieve, but they're still not happy, there's no fulfilment.
Yeah.
And for me, the fulfillment is go and show the people how you've done it. Go and share that information with people. It's like information is more valuable than money. I could drive around, I could get the lads who I work with. Now we want to fund a lot of the stuff what I'm doing and say, let's go and feed homeless people every night. But because I've put thought into it and planning and I've got like visions and goals in what I want to do in Liverpool, it's like, I'd rather prevent them ever being homeless. You need to get kids. It's go and get as many kids in as you can and teach them awareness of the thought, teach them to be positive, teach them good and bad thinking habits, you know, get them physically fit. Yeah. It's like, you know, for me that's more powerful. And
where'd you find that drive from though, mate? Because I know with me, and I've spoke about it to Tom in the past, not that I've been successful as like a fighter or, you know, professional sportsman in that sense, but for me, like, I never had any goals in that sense, but I look at what I've achieved and I think like I got this world record, I got like a book out, got this documentary out, and do the speaking goals. I've spoke in all the biggest venues that I've ever wanted to, and I found like the last couple of years I've thought like, well, it's like you say you've achieved, it's like what you do next. Where have you found that drive to go, right, come on? Because I myself have been guilty of thinking as a speaker, I'd love to speak in St George's Hall in front of 20,000 people. I think I've done that. I'd love to speak to the England football team. I've done that. So I found now there's not a lot that gets fire in my belly anymore, and so I'm one of the reasons I've done the podcast was to speak to people, to just hear like how are you getting that drive to think, right, come on, let's go again.
I think a lot of it is just constantly wanting to better yourself. You know, at the end of the day, until the day you die, you should be trying to become a better person. I should be better today than I was yesterday. I'm not saying every day you progress and but you know, that has got to be your goal every morning when you're getting up. So in that sense, it's like that, you know, for me, I use the stuff I want to do for, say, the kids and all that as my motivation and to inspire me to earn more money. Do you know what I mean? So like, I haven't got a big love for money for stuff I want to do myself, but I use other people as inspiration and to motivate me to earn more money, because I think, well, in that position, what can I do for them? Do you know what I mean? So that's like just using money as an example. Like my passion behind learning, like the people I study, and like I watch an hour and a half videos every day, and I read any chance I get. My drive and my inspiration behind learning is to share that information with other people, and for me that never ends. There's no ending to that. So like, I do get what you're saying, and at the end of the day you've had to achieve them things so that you can go and use yourself as an example to other people, because if you hadn't achieved them things, you can't stand on stage 20 stone out of shape and tell everyone how to diet.
Yeah.
That was one of the reasons, mate, I'd done the podcast, and the way you're trying to with the kids. I selfishly just thought I want to gain knowledge from these people, whether it's a professional fighter, whether it's a journalist, whether it's a comedian.
I've learnt more off my 4-year-old daughter in the last 8 weeks probably than anyone else. Just watching her playing, you know, her behaviours, and like she's a master of manipulation. She gets anything she wants.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's a book I've read probably 5-6 times over called Think and Grow Rich, and it's a story of a little girl, and she just won't take no for an answer. You know what I mean? That's my daughter, and it's like,
it's such an iconic book that it was like written in the 20s, wasn't it? I must
have bought that for like 100 people. Every time I buy it off Amazon, I just have them in my car and give them out. And it's like, pound for pound, the best thing you can give anyone as a gift is a book.
100%.
You know what I mean? Mate, off Amazon, and like that can change someone's life.
Yeah.
You know what? It's so funny because you say, like, we all say it seems like to become successful, whether it's money, whether it's in relationships, whatever, it seems like that we all know what we really need to do, but it's actually doing it. Do you know what I mean? It's like a case of I should really this morning, like you, have 5 or 6 goals. It doesn't have to be 5 or 6 goals, but some goals that maybe by the end of 2020 or by the end of, 2025 that I want to do. And yet I know I should do that, but I haven't done it. I know that this morning I should have maybe got up at, 5, 6 a.m, gone for a run, but I haven't. Do you know what I mean? It's like we know what we need to do.
You might have a list of 10 things what you need to do. You think I need to do them 10 things. Just pick one. And just say, this week, out of them 10 things I need to do to be the best version of myself, you know, I'm going to pick one. I'm going to do that one every day this week. And next week I'm going to do 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's trying to make them things become part of like, your daily habits or your routine.
Yeah.
But the problem is people can set a goal 5 years time, and they focus on the goal in 5 years time, and they couldn't see how far away they are, because it's a 5 year, it's a long-term goal.
Yeah.
Instead of just focusing on today. So you give it 100% today, and then tomorrow you give it 100%, and the day after you give it 100%, you'll be where you need to be in 5 years.
Yeah.
But people look too far ahead. It's great to set long-term goals, but people set long-term goals and forget about what's got to be done right now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's what kind of stops people from
it's that thing being present in the moment, isn't it? It's massive.
I've like set goals. I set a goal 7 years ago, actually written goals. I'm at a point now I don't really write my goals down. I write a million things down, do you know what I mean? But I don't like write down and go, I'm going to do that by that date. That's what I did do. But like, you can write a goal down, say I'm going to do that in 7 years. What's saying if you couldn't do it in 2?
Yeah.
But if you write down you're going to do it in 7, you won't do it in 2.
Yeah.
In my opinion. You'll do it in 7 if you work towards it every day. But, you've only got to come up with one idea or start one business and that just go boom, and you could have a goal to be a millionaire, but you'd have that one idea and you become a fucking billionaire.
Yeah.
Actually setting, like, you hear loads of different things. It's what works for you. Like, I'll just discuss what works for me or what I've seen work for people close to me. I'm not saying in any way it's right or wrong. I could be wrong in anything what I say, but at the same time, I think that is a big reason why people procrastinate on doing certain things or don't achieve certain things, is because if you look at a 7-year goal where you are now and you think about where you want to be in 7 years, it might seem enormous. It should be enormous. But it's only the day-to-day, what you're doing in the present moment, what's going to get you there.
Yeah.
And that's what people go, I'll just start that there's my 7-year goal. I'll start that next week.
It's 7 years away. It doesn't matter if I start today or tomorrow.
And in 7 years you'll be like, okay, well, here I am. 7 years from now, I'm going to be there, but I'll start next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100. Yeah, Aubrey Marcus has got the guy who started on it with Joe Rogan. He's got a really good book.
Yeah, follow Aubrey, yeah.
Yeah, he's good, isn't he? Own the Day, Own Your Life, I think it's called. So it's a similar sort of thing.
It's that thing. I spoke to Paul Cheatham at me. I'll introduce you to him. He'd be a good guy for you to meet. We sat and spoke the other day, and he said, it's like what you said then, it doesn't really matter how you do it or what the reason is. If you're doing something good and you get there, then that's the thing, isn't it? It's no matter how you do it or why you started it or whatever the reason being, if the end product is, you're giving something back and it's good energy and it's making the world a better place, then it doesn't matter how you got there, really, does it, at the end of the day?
I found a lot of my goals when I look back, where I was when I set them and where I am now, a lot of them are about like me and my family and maybe my 1 or 2 close friends. So like I started to realise that, like, when you start to get on, I don't like to call it a journey, but when you start to like realise that you're achieving these goals and not how easy they are, because like achieving anything
takes discipline.
It takes discipline, yeah. But like I think it's not easy, but it's simple. That's like a good little thing. What I've heard, do you know what I mean? When I say it's simple, it's like just doing the things what you need to do every day. But when you actually see you manifested these things and you've created these things, for me, it's like, well, I've done that for me and to benefit my close family. But you know, it was quite. Like I say, it's hard to explain what I mean, but it wasn't easy. But I've done it, and if I can do it for me, then why can't I have these visions and aspirations for other people and achieve them as well? And like I think now, like I'm thinking like fucking 50 years ahead now. I'm thinking, imagine lying on your deathbed and thinking I achieved everything what I wanted to achieve for myself personally and to give my family a good life. But at the same time, through the likes of a week, I save thousands of people's lives because they never killed themselves, and people who even live to 70 years of age live with a better quality of life as opposed to being, you know, basically you could say being dead. If you live in a state of depression and sadness and stress for 70 years, you haven't lived, in my opinion. Do you know what I mean? You haven't, you might as well be gone.
Yeah, 100%.
That's how strongly you feel about it. If you live a sad, depressed life, you basically live in hell for 70 years, you haven't lived. Do you know what I mean? So that's how powerful my message is through a week. It's like the greatest gift I can give is a better quality of life, and if I'm going to do that, I'm going to find kids and get them early before you get a man who's 40 years of age who's smoked for 30 years. It's fucking hard to get him to stop smoking, but you go and get a lad who's 14 who's been smoking for 2 years. It's a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you know what I mean?
Well, is the hardest thing trying to get them through the doors then? Is that a big...
No.
Because that's what you would think.
Everyone's searching everyone wants to feel better. Everyone wants to be happy. So for me,
I just thought
I do in the schools, like I go in the schools as Scano, the cage fighter who's dead hard and got a boss car, and that's what they see when I come in the school. That's how I market myself to these kids, because I am one of the lads, and till the day I die, I'll be a scally, and I'm not ashamed to say it. Do you know what I mean? I'm from Liverpool. I'm proud of my upbringing and who I am today. I am. So it's like, and I am a scally. I'll always speak like this. I'll go to meetings in shorts and t-shirt if I can get away with it, and I'm just comfortable in myself. So it's like, I go into the schools to these young lads who like that. I'm in Everton Free School. They're just like, you could say that they're not the best behaved kids and don't come from the best background either, but I can relate to them from my background and people who are around me, and they can relate to me. But I just go in as I'm Scano, the MMA coach, and I'll teach, like I actually say to the kids, I'll teach you to defend yourselves. No one will pick on you.
Yeah, that
It's so important as well to those kids to realise that you can be successful in many different ways, not just being hard as fuck.
They relate to being successful as so image-wise, they see success as a man walking down Castle Street with a briefcase and a suit. They've never worn a suit in their life. So they're like, I can't be successful, because their idea of success is either having the best fucking limo round where they live and having an S3, if you want to talk real, do you know what I mean? Or being a businessman walking down Castle Street with a briefcase, and that's all they see. So
that worldview, yeah,
that's their worldview, because they've grew up in an environment where the only lads who've got anything have got it illegally. Do you know what I mean? Where like I've got friends in the city, fucking tons of friends in the city. I'm so under a weight. I've got the I Am project. That's what I actually introduce and go into the schools under. But then under that, I've got a project what I'm working on at the minute called Role Models, and that's basically to take people from all different aspects of business, sport, anything. Anyone who's successful doesn't mean they've got a lot of money. Just means they're successful. So they're happy doing what they're doing. Take them into the schools. And these are all relatable lads. All of them are just the same as us. Do you know what I mean? They're just the lads. They're not like, they haven't gone to fucking uni in London and whatever. That's not saying you can't do that, but they're not the kind of people I want to bring into these kids, because a lot of them are at a stage where they're not going to go to uni in London. That's not who they are. But that doesn't mean they can't be successful by finding something what they enjoy and what they love doing and committing to it. So if I bring, like, my partners, say, successful in construction, they've got a fucking massive construction company, but they're just the lads, and they've started from the bottom and they've worked their way up. So if I can bring them into like to a school where the kids don't want to be an athlete or anything to do with sports, I can bring my partner Dave or John Paul in, and they'll sit there and say, this is how we've done it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing more powerful, you know what I mean?
No.
Because if the kids see someone who's done it and has come from nothing, then they realise that, you know, and they don't expect anyone to give them a leg up. It's like, well, they've done it from nothing. If they can do it, I can do it. And that's my message to the kids, do you know what I mean? It's like, I'm happy and I'm successful, and there's no reason why you can't be, because I haven't had a great, my mum's amazing. Like, if I speak about my background and anywhere I am today is because of my mum. She's an unbelievable, fucking like proper like Scouse mum, do you know what I mean? But I didn't have everything growing up. I had to find it and get it myself. I'm grateful for all of it, because like, obviously I came to a realisation that that's like, you can, if you want something, you'll always figure out a way to get it. I've been doing it my whole life. I look back to going and looking for money. If I wanted to go to sweet shop in phone boxes and walking up and down the road there, I lived them. I'd always find money, and I'd always end up in the sweet shop. And if I couldn't, I'd go and knock at this fella David's and say, mate, do you need me to move anything or do anything for you? And he'd say, yeah, just go and move that brick to there, and give me like 20p, and I'd be in the shop buying like 2 10p mixes. And
That's
I mean, like, I speak about all this to the kids.
Yeah. It's great though as well, mate. I think when I've went into schools, and again, teachers have got me in because it's relatable, do you know what I mean? You're from Liverpool, and what I think sometimes kids in our city's perception is, if they see someone like yourself, MMA fighter, fucking hard as fuck, successful or whatever, it's almost they can't think, or forget about the success thing, but they just see you. I think sometimes they might think, like, you can't have both, or for example, lads in gyms, in the boxing gyms and MMA gyms, don't have conversations like this. I think sometimes they think, oh, they're fucking hard as fuck. They don't talk about like the law of attraction, or they don't talk about positivity, or they don't talk about giving back. It's all about like, and I know myself, like, got friends, like similar friends, and everyone fucking, there's loads of people who talk like this, but I think for young people growing up, when they see like the likes of, I don't know, these boxing gyms and stuff, and they think, fucking, it
can be intimidating for them.
Yeah, and I don't think that. Because I've had these conversations in the Rotunda, lads are all onto Wim Hof, and they're all doing it, and they're all doing same self-development things. But yeah, I don't think kids will think fucking lads who are in the gym and MMAs talk like this. I personally wouldn't imagine that.
Yeah. Well, I go in and like, if I'm with kids for an hour, 40 minutes of it's training, 20 minutes, we watch Conor McGregor Law of Attraction videos and stuff like that, and they're like, they've never watched nothing like that. So
yeah. It's eye-opening, isn't it? Yeah,
for those who've watched things like that, and like, I understand the science behind manifestation and law of attraction, so like, I can go as deep as you want to go with it, but at the same time I can translate it to kids who like, you know, would struggle if I spoke in certain ways, you know what I mean?
Mate, one thing for me, mate, and again,
I'm showing them more than anything.
Yeah, just educating, isn't it? Yeah.
No, like, I'm at a point now where there's nothing I've ever wanted. I live where I want to live, I drive what I want to drive, I wear what I want to wear. It's like, you know, maybe 12 months, 18 months off being in a position where I'm not so busy with work and I commit more time to the kid. It's like, I've created and designed my own life, and there's no reason why anyone can't, because like, what I like about when I've got friends who've some of the happiest people you'll ever meet, and they've had the hardest upbringing. So for me, it's like, the kids who I'm targeting, or my niche, so to say, in these schools, is they've got no excuse, because I've got mates who've had torturous fucking backgrounds and they're successful. Don't mean they got tons of money. Fucking hell, they got nice houses, they got beautiful kids, they train every day, they live a great life, do you know what I mean? Like, there's no excuse, you can't hit me with an excuse that there's not someone I'm around, even like the 3% what we spoke about earlier on. It's like, they're all relatable lads. Some of them have been to prison and, you know, come out, and I've had like fucking bad times in the past, but we're all happy. We're just like, you know.
Mate, if you came in as even, you know, when I was younger, like, it was just, I think I said to you on the phone, like, it's just such a breath of fresh air when someone like I've said it before, but like, when Ben Saunders, the polar explorer, like the guy who'd walked across the South Pole like twice, when he came in, like, you've never heard like an assembly hall like as quiet as that for 2 hours. Do you know what I mean? And it's so like refreshing having someone, like, even just a different person in a school that's not Mrs. whoever. Do you know what I mean? That's Tom, that's Mark, do you know what I mean? That doesn't have that title.
I said to you, didn't I, when I was training for this world record and stuff, and when I've been so motivated, you know, you're watching clips on YouTube of things like that.
Goggins and all.
Yeah, Goggins.
Eric Thomas, mate, I love him, he was a good one.
Thomas is amazing. Have you read his book?
No, I've not read his book, no.
Book's a cracker.
Like, I'm the same, mate, I could fucking pull up fucking 100 clips now that I've used over the years. And that's what I was saying, mate. So my next question, mate, is, because I look back and not like I'm a bit, well, I am a little bit gutted that I didn't achieve more, because I kind of felt that I was kind of maybe in this place maybe a little bit earlier than I should have, because again, when you're 22, 23, 24, you're still a young man, aren't you? And yeah, I'd, lost my ma, being blown up, lost my leg, lost my career, and just had so many life-changing events that I'd kind of, my self-development come maybe earlier than maybe it would have, I found. So I felt like I had this kind of knowledge of these motivational speakers and stuff. And for example, I was retired from the Marines, so I had this time on my hands to self-develop, if you like. And what I found maybe held me back is the company you kind of kept. And because I'm from Bootle, I stupidly thought that there was a ceiling. Do you know what I mean? I thought once I've got my house, once I've got this, once I've got that, that's it then. Rather than then readjust and think, fuck this, I want to do more. There was definitely a few years where I just was like, right, everyone around me is all aspiring to one day have an house. All right, well, I've got 5 houses now. I don't need to do anything. And I'd 100% sat back. So one of my biggest regrets is not seeking, for example, someone like yourself, or seeking mentors and that. So my big question is, what have you done over the years to jump out of those circles? Because it's very easy, the company you keep, if you're surrounded by negative people, how do you deal with that when?
I think when you work on yourself to a point where, without, again, going into the science too much, we're all vibrating at a frequency. So it's like, if someone's frequency doesn't match yours, you find they just disappear over time anyway. If you're positive and someone's negative, then you find you don't spend much time around them. If you're negative, then you will, negativity loves negativity. At the end of the day, if you've got two people and they're on the same frequency, that's why, like, you see, you could go and be a fly on a wall in someone's house, and it's a couple who've been married for years, and he's complaining and then she's complaining, and they're a match made in heaven. But you go and throw Mr. Positive in and swap him for Mr. Negative, she'll be upstairs in bed watching fucking telly, and he'll be downstairs. They just don't go. So for me, it's more a case of working on myself and obviously being as positive as I can, and then you don't have to, like, the people just seem to
naturally fall away.
Yeah. It's not a case of me going, and at the same time it is realising how you feel around people. So there's certain people I'm around, and I'm aware of how I feel when I'm around. You can go, like, a good example what got explained to me years ago when I was first getting into all this kind of stuff is, you walk into a nightclub, and the minute you walk in, before you see anyone's faces, you feel like if it's a positive or a negative environment. So like, you could walk into a bar in town and be like, it's fucking moody in here, I don't like the feeling in here. That's before you've actually even seen anyone. So it's understanding that you're getting them feelings, and it's a good feeling, and it's like, if it's smart, you'll just get out of there. You'll go to the next bar. If you're not, you'll stay there. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's a lot about, like, how you're feeling. If you don't feel good around the same person, spend less time around them. And odds are, if they're in the negative, if they're basically fucking negative, they won't feel good around you. They'll either basically fuck off, or they'll start to raise their own game to match your frequency. And I could say it purposely, there's just people who I would avoid, if they were making me feel a certain way, but I found that I've just done it without trying. Like, I've attracted loads of amazing friends, and I'm surrounded by people who inspire and motivate me every day. I'm literally, the circles I'm in are amazing. Like, my friends are amazing, the people I work with are amazing. Do you know what I mean? My kids and my wife, and it's like everyone I'm around are just like amazing people. And we all, like I'll use Luke as an example. Like, I look for qualities in other people that inspire me to make me better. So it's like, Luke's really disciplined and in incredible shape, do you know what I mean? And I see him, frequently seeking discomfort and pushing himself. Like, having people around that like you, it's impossible to downgrade. You're just constantly upgrading, and you're all bouncing off each other, and then you're doing something amazing, and your mates are seeing it. It's like,
oh mate, that's huge. That's why I asked you, mate, because I've got friends now who are in the Marines or in Special Forces now, and constantly pushing themselves, and just even being good friends with these people, and you see how much they're pushing the boundaries. You're thinking, fucking hell, like,
it's inspirational. Yeah. So like, we went to Poland, and in the week we spent with Wim Hof in Poland, the most inspiration I took from that week was everything what we done. 6 physically strong, fit, lads from Liverpool. 20 other people done. Some of them look like they'd never trained a day in their life. Do you know what I mean? Like 50 years of age, 60 years of age. Just fucking doing all the cold water, doing the walks on mountains, doing everything what we done. So we were inspiring them, because like, before they get up in the morning, we'd be walking back to our room fucking sweating, being like sparring and boxing and training, do you know what I mean? And they were like, fucking wow, usually like, this, like, we had like a little thing there, like this fucking Scouts fight team and all that, do you call them? Like fucking like the military in the morning, we were like fucking whacking circuits out, swatting pads and skipping, and these would just be coming down for brekking, we'd be walking up sweating, but then we'd be going in the cold water and spending like 10 minutes in freezing cold river with like, even like an Indian guy who's never trained, and or like a woman who, if you seen her walking down the road, you wouldn't think twice. And they were inspiring us, because I'm looking at physically, it makes you realise how much of it is actually mental as opposed to physical, because like I was feeling it in that cold, and like if it was to sit here now and say it wasn't hard, it fucking was, but that's what we've gone there for. But then to see other people who you'd look at them and think like they we never judge no one. That's one thing I'm big on, is not judging anyone or judging a book by its cover. But like the people who you'd see over there, you'd think like they just smash your expectations out of the water, because it's like you wouldn't think they could do it.
It's important though to have that open mindset of you need to have an open mindset to want to be inspired as well. You need to seek inspiration as well.
Like I use a term, I'm forever a white belt, I'll learn off anyone.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think like a lot of the stuff I'm into, I can relate to fighting in the sense that you can learn off beginners. You can see two beginners moving a certain way, or do something what I learned 10 years ago and I forgot, and I don't use it. It could have been something working really well for me in my game.
Someone's just starting and doing it.
And someone's just starting and doing it. Like, fucking, I remember it. Then you go back to use it.
There's a fella before I started going to Rotunda a few years back, I used to go to Total Fitness, and there was a fella there, and mate, he used to be, I found out later on after I got chatting to him, he used to be a triathlon, into triathlons, had a cycling accident, and he ended up having a stroke after it. Had this fucking awful few months, and he's got like a Zimmer frame now. He's only about 50 or 60, he's got a Zimmer frame. It must take him about 40 minutes to walk from the changing rooms into the plunge pool thing. That to me, again, fucking biggest inspiration, more inspiring than anyone bench pressing 200 kilos. It was just that fella. Every day he was there. It took him 40 minutes to, never mind his workout, just to go from the changing rooms to the pool. And how easy would it be to just not get up in the morning?
Passed away. It's a bit hard for me to talk about, because he's my mate and he's just passed, but he's one of the most, if not the most inspirational person I've ever met in my life. And like, it's only from like, I mentioned the 3%, so like I'd be talking about it before, so we was part of like this group what we've got, and it's basically a group of lads who were all like relatable, sophisticated scallies. We laugh and joke, and that's what we call ourselves. But if you see us, it's like, they're all physically fit, big, strong lads, and if you were to judge a book by its cover, you'd think some of them weren't really nice guys, you know what I mean? But every one of them, like everyone in our group, are all like fucking cool. If anyone needs anything, it's like a fighter who can help someone in any way, do you know what I mean? We've got mates who do various different like good deeds, and I've got a mate, I'll give him a shout out, Chris Brown, feeds fucking hundreds and hundreds of kids over the 6 weeks oldies and in the half terms and all that. Kids who depend on school meals. These like the people who I'm around. Do you know what I mean? These like my circles, and like we've all attracted each other. I'm like going off what you were saying before, but the reason why the group was started, which we touched on, was to create a group of lads and surround Jay, my friend, by positive people who will support him in his journey to get him back on his feet. And that was the vision what I had, and the reason why initially the group had started. But like, Jay's obviously just passed, but it's only now he's gone, we're having conversations, me and like amongst us and lads in the group, where Jay literally bounced from each person in the group like day to day and spent time with them all. And he was like sort of like, for a lad to be in his position, so from there down he couldn't really do nothing. But from there up he was fully able, and he was amazing, do you know what I mean? But
did he have an accident, did he? Or?
He was driving the gym, I think, in the morning, and crashed his car. So this is only just like maybe about 5 years ago. But until 2 years ago, he weren't in a good place. Like, for me, it was like he was in a dark place, do you know what I mean? And over the course of 2 years, surrounded himself by them people studying himself. He'd come to the point where not long before he left us, he was like, every time he'd see me, he'd have this fucking big smile on his face. He just had a dead nice, calm way about him. He touched everyone, and he actually like said, I'm grateful for my accident because I was never happy before. Like me having that accident, it took something like that for me to really appreciate life and
it's mad, that isn't it?
Life. And for me to hear someone in a situation, something like you say takes us 10 seconds, 5 minutes to get a shower. It'd take him fucking ages to get in and out of his car, and he didn't want no help. He didn't like, if you asked him if he needed any help, he wouldn't be like, fuck off, I can do it on my own. But he'd just be like, no, I'm okay, I'm alright, I've got it, I'll sort it myself. It might take him, 20 minutes to 30 minutes to do things, which, like I said, will take us a minute, but he was just like I said, it's a combination of working on himself every day and surrounding himself with the right people. It was like he'd gone from living in hell on earth to living in heaven, and even with his disability, he was still so grateful and happy, and for me, there's nothing more inspirational than the likes of him. Do you know what I mean? It's great to surround yourself around people who, like, who are physically strong and fit and whatever, but you've also got to look at like people like Jay. Mentally, he's like fucking the strongest man I'll ever probably come across.
People that used to ask me how I used to stay so positive when after I got blown up, mate, and it's exactly the same answer you've just given there. I was surrounded by people. Right, I've been blown up, only lost a leg, but I've been surrounded by lads who lost both legs, lads who are triple amputees, lads who've been burnt, lads. So I was like, how can I like not be inspired and not get up in the morning and like get going when there's a lad there who's got no legs and one arm and he's wheeling himself around in a wheelchair? I was like, how the fuck can I moan and be be ungrateful for and moan about the position I'm in when I'm surrounded by these people? And they're not all, like you say, big, you said
that's a mentality and a mindset. That's a choice. You make a choice to focus on people who are worse off. Never to make it like, you can't look at a homeless man. Like, if I see someone homeless, I'll help them if I can, and I'll say thank you for the position what I'm in. Do you know what I mean? It's like you can look at people who are in worse situations than you to look for inspiration, to be grateful yourself. Do you know what I mean? I think that, and that's a choice. You make that choice to look at it that way. Other people don't. Other people are surrounded by, another real life example. One of my best mates who I grew up with made some wrong decisions and he's ended up in jail for a long time. But he still go in and seems always in a positive place. He's happy. And he's in with people who have, this is like no word of a lie, right? he maybe should have got 5 or 6 years for what he was actually fucking guilty of doing. But he ended up getting a 16 rec life sentence.
Jesus.
Do you know what I mean? I've got no reason to lie. And I'm not a liar. He's one of my best fucking closest friends. Got 16 years for making the wrong decisions and maybe spending time with the wrong people because of where he was, in my opinion, mentally at that time. He weren't in a good place. He was having a hard time himself and kind of found himself around the wrong people, and he paid the price for it. But if I go in and see him, he's happy, he laughs, he tries to help anyone he can. He does anything he can for people outside his mum, but in general he's a positive, happy person. He has his moments, which is understandable with the circumstances he's in, but he looks at people doing 25 when he could look at people doing 2. He could go, fucking hell, they done worse than me, and they only got a 5, do 2.5.
Yeah,
it's funny that, isn't it?
They've still got 15 years left, and they've been in the same amount of time as me, and he's grateful for only having whatever, he's got maybe 6 years left, 5-6 years, and he's grateful for only having 5 or 6 years left because he looks at the people in a worse situation than him, as opposed to looking at people who've done less, if not the same as him, and have only got a couple of years in jail.
It doesn't piss me off, but it winds me up when people go, "Oh, you're so unlucky." I go, "Fuck, the fucking life I've got. How the fuck am I unlucky?" I was like, "Go on, explain to me. I've got a daughter who I adore. I've got the fucking best job in the world. Tell me how I'm unlucky." And I'd seen, I talk about it all the time. The Dan Bilzerian does a little bit on the Joe Rogan, and he tells this story, and he says, like, you don't know if something's a good or a bad thing until it ran its course.
Seen this, Alan Watts, the Chinese farmer?
Oh, mate, Alan Watts. Look, we have him on all the time, mate. Chinese farmer.
We played it to my kids.
Mate, I've had it on all the time.
So if you're not familiar with Alan Watts, the Chinese farmer, YouTube it, and
that's the story Dan Bilzerian tells at the end of the Rogan.
Yeah, it is.
And I use it as me, I say 11 years ago, and I was lying in a muddy field in Afghanistan with a tourniquet around my groin, no one could have given me any kind of pep talk, said, Andy, listen lad, it'll be fine, don't worry. There was no positive whatsoever that could possibly come from that situation that I thought. 11 years on, I'm sitting here now around this table, best thing that's ever happened to me. Do you know what I mean? It literally is the best thing that's ever happened to me in my life. And that's what I try and tell people, you know, when you are going through a tough time, you know, try and just take a step back, get a bit of perspective and refocus and try and put, like you said at the start, there's a positive that can come from everything.
Like everything. I look at the circles I was in growing up and the people who I've been around at early stages in my life, and every single day I say thank you for where I am and who I am now, because how I haven't gone down the same road as a lot of them. It's you know, what's the reason? For me now, the reason is for me to be in this position and to be able to help and serve other people. That's my purpose now. Is like, you know, I love me wife and I love me kids, and you know, you have different types of goals. I have my goals to be the best family man, husband and dad I can possibly be. Then you've got your work related goals, which is obviously to be as successful as I can be in whatever endeavours I'm involved in. But then you've got yourself to be as fit as, you know, learn as much as you can. But then you've also got, for me, another goal is what can I do for other people? Do you know what I mean? I think for a lot of people who are successful, like I was speaking about a bit early on, they get to a certain point where they've achieved everything what they want to achieve and there's no fulfillment. For me, that's the missing link. That's like the, you know, basically the fucking cherry on the cake. You've done everything, you know, you've reached the pinnacle of whatever sport or whatever business and whatever, but you still feel like something's missing. Go and share that information with someone else. Go and help someone else. If it's going to feed homeless, like I know there's people in particular who may feel a bit lost, I could say to them, look, spend the day with me, let's go and do something for, you know, let's go and speak to some kid in a school, or, and I know that feeling they'll get will fill that, like the void or the hole. Do you know what I mean? And that's what role models is really, like the stuff I was speaking about with under the I Am project in the schools. It's like I want to get a group of role models, different people from all different like areas of Liverpool and different like, you know, professionals in whatever, and take them into the schools and get them speaking to the kids and, you know, just showing them like a relatable person going in.
Mentors is the big one for me, mate. Mentors is the big one. And you know what I love as well, mate, about this podcast, and especially the guests we've had on, I think no more than you. I think you've probably been the perfect guest anyway, but especially now. To be honest, the mindset I've been in the last few weeks with lockdown, and no doubt everyone, so you've been the perfect guest. And one thing that frustrates me a little bit, because I'll be honest, I love hearing a good story that's kind of interesting in any way, but a lot of podcasts that you see now are kind of, you know, like criminal ones, or like, you know, people who've done this and that, and don't get me wrong, they're interesting, it's good to hear people's stories, but I love hearing like someone who wants to give back and wants to do stuff, do you know what I mean, like podcast about that, and it's great. Like I follow James English podcast, brilliant, really really good, and he's just done one with the with Stephen French on it, and don't get me wrong, I listen to it, it's interesting, it's fun and all that, and so I do love a good one like that. And he's got other like criminals on, which are really interesting, but I just think it's about the positivity ones, man. I'd much rather people were more into like this kind of stuff, do you know what I mean, like having this, and that's why I'm a big massive believer. I've been lucky to have a few mentors myself, but having mentors, having those role models that can talk to you about all the things you've mentioned, do you know what I mean, it's so much, I think that's so much more beneficial.
I've learned a lot of things myself through making mistakes, so it's like, and that's what's brought me to where and I'm blessed and grateful. I've learned a lot from my mum. I'm at a point now where it's only been the last however many years I'm looking at different like qualities from my mum and things I've seen her do, which I'm like, because at the end of the day, your environment up until 7-8 years of age is what creates, like I said before, your worldview. So I'm like, I've seen my mum progressing from working in like, say, 2 pubs to getting a job in like a low cost or whatever it was called, running like 2-3 jobs to provide for us, and then from going from there to working in a chemist, from working in a chemist to working in Barclays, and I moved out 7-8 times as a kid. Every house was just that little bit better than the one before. It's like, you know, she's done that naturally without ever being told to do it, because, you know, she's just like tried to better herself, and that's what every car she got was like, you know, a little mini Metro. While she bought it for about 100 quid driving out, no tax, to like, you know, the next car was like £150, and the next car like to being 200 quid, to the point where, you know, she done all right for herself. You know what I mean?
Mate, one thing I that's sort of striking me from some of the conversation like yourself is that with people who are successful, and you included in that Paul Cheetham we've had on, and other people, and then you could go to a higher level of like Warren Buffett and those sort of people, is that all they're doing is constantly giving back. Like Warren Buffett has donated 99% of his wealth when he dies to charity, which is obviously billions. Paul Cheetham, who we have had on the podcast.
He's opening up an office in Liverpool, mate, and it's the plans he's got for the community and stuff. Again, I'll introduce him when this is finished, but it is, yeah, there's a running team, isn't there?
Yeah, there is, yeah. Yourself, like, it's got like, people have this image that like people who are wealthy are either criminals or really selfish, and you can
born into it.
You only have to drive down Formby or whatever, see the big house and think, yeah, they probably made it illegally or some. Do you know what I mean? Something like that. And then you actually hear people's stories and you think, well, actually they just like constantly giving back, whether it's through charity work, whether it's through donating money, whatever it is. Such a big running theme.
I know a lot of people who've got tons of money and don't give nothing back.
Sure, I suppose, yeah.
Are they wealthy? They might have a lot of money, but it doesn't mean they're wealthy. Are they happy? Are they skipping down the road and loving life? Do you know what I mean? Are they appreciating the surrounding thing? Maybe not. Do you know what I mean? But I've always found that I can give you my last penny, I might give you my last bar of chocolate and like that. But I'm a bit of a Joe. I'm dead greedy, with food and that. I'll give you my last penny, and if I can do anything, I'll give you my time. I will. And that's what you will find, that people who are prepared to give. It's not always like give anything financially. For me, there's obviously a financial aspect to what I'm doing through a week, but you wouldn't believe how much time and thought and energy I put into it on a daily basis. It's more than just money. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's the big thing, mate, as well. You forget the money side of it. Is however people make money in life, whether you're working a 9 to 5 or whatever. The biggest thing I'm taking from this is if you can make money by helping people and giving something that's going to really just impact someone's life, then
money's a piece of paper.
You've nailed it.
Everything's energy. Your energy, I'm energy, that's energy. It's an exchange. The same as feeling good off giving someone. That's an exchange. I do something to help someone, I feel good. I've helped them, make them feel good. The exchanges I've got, I feel good myself. It's like, if you can earn money along the way, you've absolutely smashed it, haven't you?
100%.
But I use what I can do for others now as my motivation behind financing. That drives me to earn more money, to be more successful.
Help more people and
certain things, and obviously I'll imagine and feel in certain ways, which I've always done to help motivate me to achieve whatever it is. I honestly believe on the night, if I wanted to be a billionaire, I could be a billionaire. But would I be happy? Because the time, energy and effort I'd have to put in would mean sacrificing time with my wife and kids, time with my friends, time exercising, a week could go out the window. So for me, it's about having the full package. It's like, working on myself, obviously, which comes first, because I can't give what I haven't got. Working on being the best husband and dad, the best. It's like literally just working on every day, trying to keep a bit of balance, but just being the best in every in every department possible.
Yeah, I seen a thing with Johnny Wilkinson, and he spoke about the World Cup, and he said, he's got a game on Saturday. He said, if I can be 100% Monday, 100% Tuesday, 100% Wednesday, 100% Thursday, 100% Friday, the chances are I'll probably be 100% Saturday. However, if I only train 60% Monday and then 100% Tuesday, but then 80% Wednesday and then 100% Thursday and then only 20% Friday, you're waking up Saturday thinking, don't know what I'm going to put out the bag here. It's that consistently trying to be better in every area.
Like you deserve to win. That's the biggest thing. And at the end of the day, if you're, smoking ciggies 4 weeks out from a fight, do you deserve to win that fight? No. Will you go into that fight knowing that I was smoking ciggies 4 weeks out from this fight and eating McDonald's? And if you win, in my opinion, it's by way of fluke or whatever. I don't know, but I think in anything you've got to deserve, know deep down that you deserve to be, wherever you set out to be. Do you know what I mean? I think that's massive. I've seen some great fighters lose fights because maybe they haven't given 100% in the camp, and that's what ultimately for me, that's what's lost in the fight. They've gone into the fight deep down knowing they don't deserve to be the winner in that fight. You know, you go and get someone whose ability's up there and someone whose ability's up there, but he's only prepared 70% and he's prepared 100. Do you know what I mean? How do you gauge?
Yeah. Mate, that's what I love about Darren Till, like how he, like, confidence that he believes it in himself. Do you know what I mean? Like having that ability to be that confident that you can, you know, wind people up on Instagram and Twitter, you know, all that sort of stuff, but still just have that like, I don't know where that stuff comes from.
He won't mind me saying this, and if he gets offended, then I'll see him when I see him. But if Darren is fucking, out of everywhere I've ever trained and everywhere I've ever been, fighting wise, Darren is the best. Darren's got more potential in a fucking cage than anyone I've ever trained with in my life.
Really?
Seriously, he really has. He's born to fight, nothing else. So if he can, you know, and the best, that you'll always see the best side of Darren because he's one of them kids. He's off County Road. He's rough ass, you know. And maybe had his fair few run-ins and a bit of a tough time growing up, and had a few things happen, you know, where he got stabbed and whatever. But Darren is like like he's always best when he's an underdog. Put him in with anyone. Put him in with the best person you can possibly put him in, and I believe he'll find a way to win. His fucking fight IQ is like above everyone else's. He's just, when he's in that fight, mate, he's in flow, and he's just like, you know, if he could be physically and mentally 100% going into any fight, I'd put him in with anyone.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But
are you still training now then? Do you still train the lads in the gym and that then, or are you watching coaching?
I get in there when I can. We call like the has-been class sometimes. So like me and a few other lads who used to compete and fight, we'll get in and train before the pros come in. The pros train from like 10:30 till about fucking 1 o'clock sometimes. Do you know what I mean? So and then they're back in again later. So like with Colin, my coach, it was, you know, if you commit to be a fighter from Carbon, it's like you're all in. Doesn't give a fuck if you've got work. If your missus is sick and the kids, it's just like you're in and you commit, and you know, it's fucking, you give 110% and he will give you that back. You can have the best, most talented fucking superstar in the gym, but if they're not giving him 100%, he'll go and give a beginner more time and attention than he will the fucking superstar. Do you know what I mean? That's the way Colin is. That's why some people, he's like Marmite. Some people fucking hate him. Yeah. But the ones who actually know him, love him. Do you know what I mean? Like, love him.
Yeah. I always talk about my surgeon again. He's one of my mentors, if you like. He's like Marmite. I fucking love him. But he expects like the standards. It's funny when, you know, when you mention him, people's reaction, you know, if they either love him or they hate him. Some will go, oh, Doc, yeah, I know Doc, and then other people will go, oh yeah, I've worked with him.
Yeah, if I had a pound every time I defended Colin Aaron, I'd probably retire tomorrow. You know what I mean? But
I think with successful people who are really good like that, they probably are like that, because some people don't like it when you're too hard on them. Or you
think about it, if you spend from 9 o'clock in the morning till 9 o'clock in the night on the mat coaching everyone, giving her 100% of your energy, you love your time, you don't give a fuck about money, because he doesn't. You know, if money comes, but I've seen him struggle, and you know, if you give that, you basically give your life to your gym, then I don't see nothing wrong in expecting 100% commitment back from anyone who puts their feet on your mat. And if you are not prepared to do that, then, you know, Colin's it, basically, see you later, fuck off. Do you know what I mean? Go and train with someone else.
Mate, I found this fight, it'd be great to just quickly, so this was, and obviously anyone watching on YouTube, you don't mind me playing this, do you? No. Anyone watching on YouTube, because there was I remember seeing it at the start, there was a kick. Where was this then?
That was in the Olympia.
Oh, was it? Yeah. So let me just wind it on a little bit.
Are you fucking shitting, even though you've done all the training? I mean, we spoke about it a bit before, but I would be fucking shitting myself. And I've been in some like fucking situations, it's nothing like this, but fuck me.
There's a kick here in a second, isn't there? Bang.
Oh my god. Fucking hell. What did that feel like when you knew you connected?
I think that's great. I think it's horrible when you're getting the changes after, you're like, shit, I've just trained fucking 8 weeks, haven't had a bar of chocolate or nothing, and that's always like, it's over in 10 seconds, but at the same time, like, for me, that's massively served the purpose, in the sense that when I go in the schools, And the kids know him from a fighting background. They go on YouTube, they see the likes of that, the like next time, and they're like, fucking seeing your kicking. So it does earn a bit of respect from the kids, and it has helped, do you know what I mean? But mate, I think any fight in the Olympia, I used to put a lot of pressure on myself in the Olympia, and I know there's definitely other fighters who'll relate to this. It's like, go and put me in a fight with 10,000 people in Brazil, or put me in a fight in the Olympia with 500 people. I feel more pressure fighting in Liverpool.
Yeah. God, we went to go and see
the Olympia is a great venue, isn't it, as well? It's one of those, been to loads of them there, the prize fight is there and everything. It's like, especially if you're a Scouse, isn't it, fighting there?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
We went to see Jazza, didn't we?
Yeah, we saw Jazza fight there, yeah.
Just because, you know. I
think, mate, as well, going back to what I said before about Paul cheating, me always says, like, whatever your reasons for doing it, and I think it's great that, you know, you've got that you're kind of in. We've had Paul Walmsley, you know, he was once Britain's most wanted criminal. He now works with schools, you know, that's his kind of in. For me, as you know, I'm from Bootle, but I broke this world record, I do this and that, that's kind of my in. And once you've got your in, and you can impose your wisdom and share this information. And
So it's a niche in the market.
Yeah.
Because all you've got to go and sell yourself to whoever you're going in to speak to. So for me, I've got to go and sell myself to them kids, which means, you know, maybe I'm not going to go and speak to them. I'm going to be a different person with them kids than who I'll be with the pair of yous now.
Yeah.
Because maybe the person I am with the pair of yous now, them kids won't relate to me. And I won't be able to break the barriers. So
yeah, course,
I go into the schools, like, again, it's like methodical, and it's a thought out process of, I go in the schools, and for the first 3 months I don't speak about I don't even use the words meditation, yoga, mindfulness. It's just all about attitude, and we have a conversation at the end that show them little motivational videos which are about law of attraction stuff like Conor McGregor, but I don't explain none of the science behind it. I just watch it to plant a seed. And then I might start with 20 kids, say for an example, on day one, and they start to drop off over a period of 6 weeks, 8 weeks. But if I end up with 6-7 kids, there's 6-7 kids who I know have broke the barriers and
they've bought into it,
and they bought into it. And then the idea behind that then is to start speaking to them on a different level, where I can talk to them about mindset, and, you know, even like not spirituality in any way, but like, you know, how to attract things and how to create things, and, you know, how to be a better person, and how, like, you know, whatever you give comes back, and like translate it in a way where you can understand it. Do you know what I mean? Without going too like scientific, so to say, and like just explain it in a way that they can understand
and not lose them. Yeah.
I always remember, I'm sure it was Tupac of all people to have quotes, and I'm sure he said something, and he went something like, he said, I might not change the world, but I guarantee I inspire the person who does. And I just love that, mate. Maybe, you know, I use that same analogy. I go into schools and I think, you know, if 99% of them aren't fucking listening and won't remember me next week, if one of them does, and in 5 years' time,
because it has a ripple effect anyway. Like there's another thing, what, like, me mate Brian, at the Brain Man Brian, and like, anyone I speak to, I'll always say thank you for meeting Brian, because he's like, I was with him last night, he came to mine for an hour and a half, and was teaching me a bit of, you know, still learning, still teaching me stuff. The guy's forgotten more than I'll ever know. That's how I refer to him. He knows he's fucking read that many books and studied it for that long. He's just like an encyclopedia of quantum physics, psychology, all of it combined. And I forgot what I was going with that then.
We need to get him on now.
Yeah, Brian's mega mate, honest. Brian is what Brian fucking knows, and, you know, I remember Brian saying to me, not so long ago, we were having a conversation about 18 months, 2 years ago this is, and he was like, we were talking about like the shift and how like open people are becoming, you know, how they start to explore like meditation and all the mindfulness stuff, and he was like, I just come here, you know, it just came for me maybe a bit too soon, because he felt like he was alone again for a long time, because if he was speaking on a level of knowledge what he's got, people would look at him like he's fucking round the bend. So we've kind of, and I know quite a few people who felt the same way. They've kind of felt like, that's what I was kind of relating to before, like years ago. I kind of felt like, and then, you know, he's just a bit lost a bit. But I think for me, I'm not like, I'm not bothered over what, like genuinely, I'll talk about anything. If you agree, if you don't, hopefully, you know. That's what I love now, though, like to have met you, do you know what I mean? Because it's good to. I've been like that for as long as, I've never had that feeling where I felt like I couldn't talk to no one. Do you know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong, I've been on my own in a sense where I didn't think everyone around me had the same understanding of things. Maybe me partner Dave, because And he's like my best mate, so I suppose I am fortunate to have him, because we kind of been on this, you know, journey, whatever you want to call it, together. And he's my partner on the stuff what I'm doing now, a lot of like the development stuff, and he's massively successful from where he's come from. But it
is good to have that community around you. Like you say, you reap what you sow. It's about you. You've put yourself in that position to have the people there.
Said to me in a conversation, I think it just came too soon for me. He was like, mate, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing with Awaken. You know, there wouldn't be a 3% group. There wouldn't be. Everything what I've done has stemmed from a conversation what I had with you 9 years ago. So I think of the ripple effect that's had on the other people. You might be the person on a podcast or opening somewhere, but for me it started with you. You give me that bit of information which has been invaluable to my life, and it's like,
and look how many lives you've then changed.
Thank him enough, and then I'm going to go on to change other people. So really he's like the fucking godfather. Whatever's going on.
That's what I love about it, mate. And it's all about that sharing of information.
But he's not giving himself the credit and the pat on the back what he deserves, do you know what I mean? But the guy sets out every day to help people, and he's just like one of that. He never say no to no one for anything, do you know what I mean?
Mate, what a big thing as well, which I think you're the epitome of, mate, is not letting your fucking ego get in the way. I seen a podcast up with it was, I think we spoke about it the other day. I spoke about it to someone. Kevin Hart was on Joe Rogan's, and he said
such a good the recent one. Like
the recent one, yeah. And he said he was in an NFL game, and he said Jeff Bezos, the Amazon owner, walked in, and he was like, I don't want to go and fucking speak to Jeff Bezos. And one of his mates was like, mate, fucking chill. You don't want to look like the first one going over to him like a little fanboy. And Kevin Hart was like, I don't give a fuck. I want to go and learn off this guy. I want to go and Kevin Hart speaks about his ego, like dropping your fucking ego. Who cares if you, like, his mate was too concerned with looking weak of going asking for, you know, can I introduce myself to Jeff Bezos? And Kevin Hart was like, no, I want to just say, hey man, I respect what you do. I think it's cool as fuck how what you've built. Yeah. You know, if you ever want to have a chat and stuff, and I can share what I know, and that's it. That's all I wanted to say. And his mate was too fucking egotistical to think, I don't want to lower my guard.
I respect people, but I don't look up to no one, and I don't look down on no one.
It's like a level playing field.
Just everyone, we're all the same, man. So it's like, you know, there's people who have respect for their knowledge, information, or whatever they've done, and I respect them, but I don't look up to them. You know what I mean? The same as, because I think if you look up on someone, then you've got to look down on someone. That's kind of my view, and it's like, you know, I appreciate them for whatever they've done and I respect them, but I'll never use the term I look up to that person, because that's saying they're above me, and I don't believe no one's above me.
Yeah.
The same as I don't believe no one's below me.
That's a good way of looking at it, yeah.
So it's like,
a lot of people that won't ask for advice though because of their ego, and they think I know better, or I can't listen to it, I can't take advice from you because I'm fucking, or I don't want to be seen to be weak to you know, ask for your opinion or something, which I think's so many people's downfall.
A mate of mine who I was with last night with Brian, Tom Owens, I don't know if you're familiar with Tom. Tom's like literally just took over the kids' football coaching, and the difference with Tom to all the other coaches, don't get me wrong, technically he's amazing, you know, where football's concerned, and even as an athlete and the way he carries himself, but it's his energy and the way he communicates with the kids is like next level. That's why the kids are so like, you see the kids just in awe of him as soon as he opened his mouth. And I mean, he came to mine last night and he was sitting with me, and my mate Brian was studying on a Wednesday, so the two of us just get together. So he runs a mindset course, so like we were speaking before, over people, you know, using the situation, what's going on in the world at the minute, exploring different like avenues and stuff. So he's created a mindset course for kids. So it's not just football based. He's a football coach, but he studies a lot of self-development and mindfulness, and similar to me. And he's designed a course for children which is just purely about mindset. So the first 10 days of this course, the kids had to do a vlog which is videoing themselves speaking every day over like different subjects, stuff what they've learnt on the video calls now, what they do with Tom and the other coaches, and like the growth what you're seeing.
No, that'd be massive, that.
Yeah.
Is mega, and you can see the parents who are on the chat like really appreciating it, because they can see where the kid was on day 1 and where the kid was on day 10. Do you know what I mean? It's like it is really.
It's fucking huge, yeah.
And again, that's all he's doing is studying himself, sharing his information. That's why, honest to God, if like you look at anyone, he loves his what he's doing. He's got his. He'll say, oh, maybe I wasn't supposed to be a professional footballer, similar to me, but he is supposed to be a coach and a mentor. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I sometimes look at all the shit that happens in my life. I think I was kind of meant to be a storyteller. Do you know what I mean? Like, I was meant to just share, and say, look, do you take it in positive or a negative? Here's what I've been through. I want to just tell you, and hopefully you can take little bits of that.
You got to be proud of what you've done, though. To go through what you've been through. Again, I like a reference to what I'm saying over Brian. Like, sometimes it's true, we're not quick enough to give ourselves a pat on the back.
Yeah, no, I think it's...
And the fact that you're still thinking, well, what now, you should be thinking, what now, you shouldn't. You know, it's like we should
I'm proud, mate, yeah, I'm proud, but I just feel like there's unfulfilled potential, you know, my biggest fear, and I think I've been guilty of resting on my laurels a little bit, you know what I mean?
You'd not be worried if it wasn't a fear, if you're just comfortable with doing what you've done and you were like, okay. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's sometimes the fear what drives you to motivate.
But that was one of the, better. And that was one of the reasons for the podcast, because I just knew it was just these fucking conversations, they're so enlightening. And it's just, you know...
It's just another opinion, like I have, like
I love it, man.
I say to people I'm surrounded by, I'm blessed, like Martin. I spent a few hours with Martin yesterday, Martin Bone. And like the conversations we have, it's like I'm changing my opinions and my views on things mid-conversation.
Yeah.
Because he's given me a different angle on something.
I think that is the best conversation you can have, where you can have a view and you go into a conversation and you think, nah, I think this and that's that. And then by the end of it, you're going, fucking hell.
Like Tom Owens speaks a lot on this course over having a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So it's like a fixed mindset is basically what you're saying, it's the person who knows it all. And that's how he's speaking to, like my lad who's 9. So on the course, like a fixed mindset is they don't want to learn, they're too scared to make mistakes. Do you know what I mean? So they put too much pressure on themselves for a growth mindset. You're not happy that you make mistakes, but at the same time you grow from it, so you know you've got that understanding.
Clive Woodward was the England rugby coach, and he done one when he went on to win the World Cup, and I went to see him do a motivational talk, and he talks about a rock and a sponge, and he went into the England football rugby team, and he gave them all a laptop, and he said, you all need to be proficient on how to work a laptop. And half of them were like, fuck this, I'm here to play rugby, I don't need to know how to fucking, you know, they're all big fat fingers rugby players, and they was like, I'm not fucking learning how to play that. And the idea was because all this new science and tactical analysis was coming in, so we wanted them all study to be able to study, so they all needed to know how to work a laptop. And he said a few of them were like, I'm not fucking learning how to play a laptop, it's for fucking, you know, I'm too old. And then half of them were like, and he said straight away that was the difference, a rock and a sponge. You know, some of them had a sponge between their ears and was able to take in all of it, all the new information, and some of them just had rocks. I was thinking, and
how's that going to benefit?
Yeah. And the sponges all kept in the place in the squad, and then he went on and won the World Cup. And it's just about, like you say, that open. We had who was the guy we had on about drugs, the undercover police officer, Neil Woods. I come in, and from what I know of drugs, and like I say, we've got friends who've gone, you know, into jail for things and all this, and to do with drugs, and I've always had the mindset of, you know, it's illegal, it's bad, and that, this and that. Fuck me, that conversation. He's on about legalising drugs and having regulation for them all.
Everything from heroin, cocaine, everything.
And I was like, fucking hell, yeah, totally. Like, and it's those conversations you're having, you think. And that's what I was saying before about the podcast. As much as I love listening to a podcast of a criminal who's done bits and it's interesting, just for the future and that of people, I'd love a young kid, and like we know we've got listeners now who listen to it and go, fucking hell, yeah, that centre sounds fucking amazing. Yeah, I wanna improve me mindset. I want to improve me circles I'm in, and I'd love that to be a bit more of a.
I laugh with the kids and say, like, just as a running joke, you've probably heard the phrase, maybe said a little bit differently 1,000 times over. I'm like, if you hang around with 9 knobheads, what are you?
I say it all the time when he talks, man.
That's how I've got if I was to say to you.
I say 9 idiots in school,
whatever.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But like, I'll have a laugh and joke with the kids, mainly, sorry to the teachers, but mainly when they go to the room. So I say, look lads, if you know, when we have our little speak at the end or whatever, I say, you know, if you hang around with 9 knobs, but you know,
don't be so surprised when you become a 10.
You spend every day with 9 idiots, you know what I mean? And that's how, like, that's how they get it. Like, I walk into the school at first, I go, what's happening, Joey? And he'll go, shit, innit? And I go straight away, it might be for you, mate, but it's fucking amazing for me. Boss day. And I go, why is it shit? And he'll go, you fucking won't even know. So I'll say, well, how can you expect it to be good or anything good to happen if your belief is everything's shit, and if that's not your belief, why are you saying it? And it's just the head just falls off.
Yeah, I can imagine, yeah.
And then the next, but I know registers, because the next week I go in and go, what's happening, Joey? How are you? He goes, I'm sad, I'm alright. And you start laughing, do you know what I mean?
Love all that, lad. And you know what they say about kids, mate? I've done it in big companies, you know, that are fucking, you know, making 10 and over, tens of £1 million a year. And I use that one. I say, if you surround yourself with 9 idiots, don't be so surprised when you become the 10th. And I say, if you're the smartest person in the room, because you're relating it to things, I say, I tried to go for this world record, I was getting nowhere near it. So I thought, you know, if you want to be a millionaire, the first thing you should do, go and hang around with a load of millionaires. Yeah. I thought, if I want to be a great runner, I'm just going to go and fucking hang around with all the greatest runners in the city. So when I'd done just that, and then within 3 or 4 months, I broke the world record. Yeah. And I'm talking successful business people, you can just do this little smile, they're going, fucking hell.
Makes sense.
And you can just see the penny dropping.
The beauty about it is, most of it just seems like common sense.
Yeah.
Even law of attraction, stuff like that, it's like, how can you expect a positive outcome with a negative mindset? Yeah. It's impossible. And you know, if the miracle does happen, something positive happens, it won't last.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, you know,
that's totally,
they're just not having these, they're like, especially kids, they're not having these conversations. They've got no positive role models around them. And it's like, you know, if I can design it, I've got the backing of like, Tony Bellew I love Tony Bellew, he's been my mate for years, we have boss conversations. But I look at him and think, fucking wow, what an inspiring person he is for these kids. And I could ring Tony tomorrow and say, maybe you come in the school next week with me, and he'd be like, let me know what time and I'll be there. And I'll take this, like, I'm in that situation. The Smiths and my mates are all amazing lads. Do you mean, like Derry and Rocky and all the boxers, there's fucking, I know every fighter pretty much in the city.
Yeah.
So I can get
it's just
all
great that you're using your position, mate, to do that.
Yeah, so I can use all of them. But then I know people who are successful as well in business and stuff like that, who are just allowed to know where they've come from and know where they are now. There's not one single one of them that I've iPhoned them. I believe they say I can't make it or I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Because they know that if there's any way I can help them, a lot of them I have in the past, but they know I will. Do you know what I mean? And because I will and I have, they're there for me, and I understand that that's the situation I'm in. I know people because of my background, fighting and whatever. Like I can call a favour off any of them, and if it's doing a good deed, I know they're all good lads, they'll all be there.
It's good to know, mate, that you've realised as well that you need that relatable thing, especially with kids in Liverpool. You know, it's impossible getting this motivational speaker in who's got a background in whatever from down south, because it's not going to be relatable, is it? So it's great, mate, that you've got that, and I'm excited for this fucking centre opening, mate.
It's just like awareness of having that, and then putting a strategy in place on how I can make the most of it. Do you know, I've met Jazza will tell you everyone's stuff down.
Jazz is awesome, isn't he, mate?
They might need a bit of a favour off you. Do you know what I mean? Tony would do anything. If I asked Tony, he's fucking a diamond. He, spoke to Paul Schmidt. All the Schmidts are fucking great and do things in the community anyway. You know, Rocky's my mate to grow up with Rocky. So there's loads of lads who I've seen where they come from and I've seen where they are. And if I can bring them in to give the kids a motivational talk and show them something what maybe they've never seen or didn't believe they were capable of, it's like, it can be a game changer for them, do you know what I mean?
100%. Mate, thank you so much for the 2 hours as well. It's gone so quick.
Fucking hell. Mate, that was fucking unbelievable, mate. Mate, personally as well, mate, for me, like I say, I've had a bit of a rut over this lockdown and stuff, mate, and it's just fucking been the perfect time, mate, to just get re-energised, mate.
I'll be on you to come in and speak to some of the kids.
Oh, mate, anytime, mate, honestly.
Yeah. It's called Role Models, the project.
Yeah. No, maybe we'll have, because I think there's loads anyway, mate, that we can jump into each other's things in, but mate, yeah, defo, all for that. Mate, thanks so much, mate.
Anything else you want to quickly plug or say?
Do you know what, have an opening date then, do you? Or?
Just waiting for the nod off. Boris, aren't I?
Well, maybe we'll give it a plug once it is open and stuff anyway, and that. But
it's Awake Liverpool, it's on Instagram. Instagram's been a bit quiet at the minute until we know what's going on, but for adults it's a self-development centre. So like I said, Thursdays there's going to be different workshops on anything from how to start a business to how to eat properly, help people with daily routine, which for me is a fucking one of the most underestimated aspects of fucking anything.
Your 100%,
your habits and your routine. It's just bring people in who can give people information what they can use to better themselves. That's what Awake is all about. And then obviously we've got the high frequency fitness, which for me,
I'll be fucking there every week, I think.
I'm already fucking sold on it, mate. To get meditation, yoga, and a gym session in, but if you can come and get the 3 in 1, you know, and it put you in a nice place before you go to work, then you win your morning, you win your day, don't you?
100%.
So,
Oh, mate, really.
All the kids are free, so get your kids down and book them in as soon as you can, because there's like fucking the amount of people waiting to get in there. It's like,
I can imagine, yeah. Mate, really nice to meet you as well. Yeah, pleasure.
Thank you very
yeah,
much, yeah.
Thank you, mate.